we're going to do the reading, you two, and then we will go into executive session for the conversation.
All right. So first, thank you to everybody who has participated in this whole process. We've received numerous emails. You've received emails from us going through the various drafts where we started this back in September. And we've been in contact really to further the question that you had. I actually met with Dylan from the state party, and there was really just an agreement that what we do is going to not necessarily supplant or be supplanted by what the state party does, but is an extension of the state party. What they'll be doing this month will be a floor, and then we can build off from there, and that's what the goal of this is to start that whole process. We took all of your comments into account. We had meetings over email, and of course we had a public open meeting Saturday, 2 weeks ago, wherein we got down to the final details on the committee, and this is the document that you all received that I emailed out on Sunday or Monday of last week. So, Code of Conduct, King County Democrats Executive Board. Disagreements, both social and technical, happen all of the time. When they occur, we seek to resolve disagreements and differing view constructively and with the help of community and community processes. All members of our organization are expected to behave in a manner that advances the goals, values, and missions of the Democratic Party. Internally facing and externally facing behaviors and actions have an impact on how the public perceives our organization and how and whether new and existing members feel comfortable and welcome as part of the Democratic Party. All members of this executive board have an obligation to comport themselves in a manner that meets these criteria and be cognizant of how their actions during meetings, events, and generally in public spaces impact the perception of our party to the public at large. Section 1, and this is going to be an important part, is when we're talking about sections here, we're starting with an anti-harassment policy, and the committee decided that we're going to look further at what additional measures should be, or should not be taken to expand a code of conduct beyond just an anti-harassment policy. And so we're starting with the anti-harassment policy because that's something that is apparent that we needed to put into place more immediately. Anti-harassment policy. Harassment comes in many forms, including but not limited to offensive, verbal, or written comments related to gender, sexual orientation, gender identity, disability, age, physical appearance, body size, race, ethnicity, national origin, immigration status, or religion. Touching or entering personal space without consent or other physical violation shall not be tolerated by the KCDCC. Harassment also includes stalking, persistent following, intrusive or otherwise unwanted photography or recording, sustained disruption of talks or other events, and unwelcome sexual attention. Unacceptable behavior includes but is not limited to, and that's an important factor. You'll say we say it is not limited to often throughout this document, and the reason for that is because there's going to be things that come up that don't neatly fall into any of the definitions that we provide throughout that will need to be considered as a body, and we'll get more into that later on. Violent threats or language directed against another person, sexist, racist, or otherwise discriminatory jokes and language, posting sexually explicit or violent material online while in an official capacity, real or reasonably perceived, or to an official message board, official email list, or other official organizational site. Posting or threatening to post without permission from that individual other people's personally identifying information, also known as doxing, in any public forum. Personal insults or personally disparaging remarks during debate of a motion. Unwelcome sexual attention, advocating for or encouraging any of the above behavior. Section 2, roles. Subsection 1, the community ombudsperson reviews and investigates complaints, meets regularly with community advocates, advises on enforcement of community standards of behavior, is responsible for maintaining a record of incidents, and ensures pertinent information is shared with necessary parties. For 2018, the Community Ombudsperson is appointed by the chair and confirmed by the Executive Board. The Executive Board may, by majority vote, remove the Ombudsperson during a regular meeting with at least 14 days notice of intention to call such a vote given to the elected officers. The position of Ombudsperson will be considered as an elected officer with a final report by the Bylaws and Rules Committee no later than September 2018. What this is saying is we're going to consider and have further discussion about whether the Ombudsperson should be an independently elected position within the Executive Board, and we'll have a report in September on that idea that came up during discussions. Subsection 2. Any complaints shall be submitted to the ombudsperson, who shall distribute any such complaints to the chair and vice chairs for further deliberation and consideration. Subsection 3, the KCDCC chair, in conjunction with the ombudsperson and vice chairs, will recommend actions to the executive board against individuals in violation of the code of conduct. In the event a complaint is about the chair and/or ombudsperson, then a recommendation shall be made by majority vote of the vice chairs. Subsection 4, this code of conduct applies to all executive board members, committee members, or other participants in meetings, events, and/or virtual spaces of the King County Democrats. Heading 3, incident handling, subsection 1. Following an investigation of a complaint, the ombudsperson shall refer the complaint to the chair and vice chairs along with a recommendation for one of the following remedies. A, no action with a report to the person who made the complaint. B, private consultation between the chair, the ombudsperson, and complainee with a report to the person who made the complaint. C, any further action requiring a vote of the executive board. Subsection 2, any action by the chair and vice chairs requires a majority vote of the chair and vice chairs. Any executive board action requires 2/3 vote of the executive board present and voting. And so what this is getting at is if it's a situation wherein the chair and vice chairs do not feel it warrants further action beyond a reprimand from the chair and reference to the executive board, it requires a majority vote of the chairs to do that or to refer to the executive board. Any action taken by the executive board would require 2/3 vote of the executive board to take such action, and we'll get into corrective actions in section V5. Section 4, documents and incidents. All reports and results shall be maintained in an archive by the ombudsperson for not less than 3 years. Reports that do not lead to a referral for disciplinary action shall not be made public unless deemed relevant for future action by a majority vote of the chair and vice chairs. Section 5, corrective actions. Subsection 1, by 2/3 vote of the executive board present and voting, the following may occur, parenthetical, this list is not exhaustive, and parenthetical. A, public censure. B, suspension of credentials for the individual. C, physical ban from KCDCC meetings, events, and/or ban from virtual spaces. D, other actions as deemed appropriate by the executive board. And that is what we have came to following all the input that we have received, following conversations with activists and people within the community, and this is what we are proposing that the body adopt tonight. Thank you.
Thank you for your work on this. That being said, at this point in time, the chair will entertain a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussion of this document, with the exception of the chair is asking the body to allow a waiver to two non-voting members. First is the executive director of the organization, and second is Kalani Tissot, who represents UW Young Democrats as their president, and should be part of the conversation, or at least hear the proceedings of the conversation to help guide our young Dems as they make these decisions.